You asked, and we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeartMedia.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app, and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming RAV anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
RAV on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are.
From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find all your favorite RAV hosts in one place.
You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, or Amazon. RAV is now available everywhere you get your podcasts. All you need to do is scan the QR code right now.
Download the iHeart app today and get ready for Real America's Voice.
Scan the QR code and join the RAV movement.
Good evening, America, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you, as always, from the nation's capital and the wiredtofishcoffee.com studios. You know this, Wired to Fish Coffee is the official coffee of Just the News. I love the taste. I also love the fact that every time you drink a cup of coffee, you're going to do good somewhere in the world because they donate 25% of their proceeds to Christian faith organizations and to conservation efforts. I love the outdoors. I love this coffee. And you can get a fantastic 10% discount on all of their brands, and including their great mugs, by just using the promo code JUSTNEWS at wired2fishcoffee.com. Go check them out today. All right, I've said for a long time that the fixing America would come down to three I's. Fixing inflation, that's the first I. Fixing insecurity, the border, the world, our communities, and of course, fixing insanity. And day in and day out, as my great co-host Amanda Head just wrote last night, President Trump is delivering on all three of fixing those I's. Today, two very big, important developments. First, insanity ended in the NCAA. Men will no longer be allowed to compete in women's sports. Amanda's going to bring us up to speed on that in a second. On the insecurity front, a troubling new revelation. First, the government under Donald Trump is on track to get rid of 1 million illegal aliens, actually deport 1 million illegal aliens. That would be an all-time record in American history. A lot of people are self-deporting, so the numbers are going to go way beyond that. But that number came out today. Just the News is going to have that in a story tomorrow morning. But a troubling new development today, a leak of a planned ICE raid on the Venezuelan, dangerous Venezuelan gang known as Tres de Aragua. They, Tom Homan decrying the leak, saying that it put federal law officers in grave danger. This is a group that has done a lot of damage in America. This administration wants to get them out. Somebody leaked it, made it harder to do so. Shame on that. Listen to what Tom Homan had to say about it.
This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk. Not only the officers, it puts the aliens at great risk because anything can happen when we take our eyes off the goal here. So we're addressing that immediately today. I'm addressing OPSEC today, operational security, how these leaks are happening. We've already identified how this operation got leaked. I'll deal with that today.
Wow. That's a guy who means business. He says what he means and means what he says, and he gets it done. I want to bring in Amanda, my amazing co-host. Amanda, you had a great story this morning. 20 of the promises that President Trump made in his platform all delivered already in just 17 days.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Good
you know,
story.
I think that the key here is that so many people have heard President Trump talk about his agenda over and over. They might not have actually realized that he did have these specific 20 points. So I did write an article about that today over on justthenews.com. Everybody go check it out. But that is about all of the ways that President Trump has delivered on his most important agenda items, all in just the first 17 days. I can't believe it. It's only been 17 days. So you can go over and read that over on justthenews.com to get a fuller picture. But here are just a few of the things that he has delivered on. Sealing the border, of course, and stopping the migrant invasion. As John just spoke about, the president and his team are doing everything they can to actually enforce immigration laws already on the books. He declared a national emergency at the southern border and has already resumed building the border wall. ending inflation. This was a huge part of his platform, and making America affordable again. Republicans on Capitol Hill are readying one big, beautiful bill that will slash roughly $1 trillion of spending from the budget and make his 2017 tax cuts more extensive and permanent. Of course, they are already looking at slashing the budget considerably too, and with Elon Musk and Doge helping there. And as Congressman Ralph Norman said last night, he would like to see it between $2 trillion and $6 trillion, which I don't think would hurt anybody's feelings outside the Beltway. Inside the Beltway is a different story. All right. And his work to prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, build an Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country. That one is pretty self-explanatory. And we've already seen his policies starting to work even before getting into office, helping to negotiate that ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. And how about this one? Ending the weaponization of government against the American people. On Inauguration Day, he signed the Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government Executive Order, which applies to not only presidents and elected officials, but to all Americans. All Americans should feel that the scales of justice are weighted equally. And perhaps my favorite one so far, you just touched on it, John, only a little over 24 hours after signing that executive order yesterday, the Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports executive order, the NCAA issued this statement saying the NCAA is an organization made up of 1,100 colleges and universities in all 50 states that collectively enroll more than 530,000 student athletes. We strongly believe that clear, consistent, and uniform eligibility standards would best serve today's student athletes instead of patchwork, conflicting state laws, and court decisions. To that end, President Trump's order provides a clear national standard. The NCAA Board of Governors is reviewing the executive order and will take necessary steps to align NCAA policy in the coming days, subject to further guidance from the administration. These are just a few of those things, but that NCAA one is big and swift.
It is. I mean, just think about it. They were the ones that allowed the swimmers and the volleyball player and all those things that brought Riley Gaines to the forefront of this fight.
That's right.
And now they're backing down. That's a big victory for the American people. All right, we've got the perfect first guest to kick off today's show. Why? Because when it came to fighting inflation, insanity, and insecurity, he's been on the front lines of it for a long time. He is one of my favorite members of Congress from the great state of Wisconsin, Congressman Tom Tiffany. Sir, great to have you on the show today.
Hey, John and Amanda.
Good to have you, sir. Let's start off with the process. Donald Trump's got all the executive orders out to shoot, 20 of them dealing with the 20 promises he made during the campaign. Congress wants to codify these and make these long-term and impenetrable in the courts. Tell us where we are, particularly with the idea of that reconciliation bill. What are things looking like? What sort of cuts might we see there?
Yeah, so we've got a variety of things that are going on here, trying to, as we go through the reconciliation bill, to try to codify some of the things that the president has enumerated. I'll give you one that I authored with my co-author, Representative Burgess Owens from Utah, and that is to codify DEI, to make sure that that goes away here in the United States of America, that we are a merit-based society. And we've got the bill drafted. Hopefully we're going to be able to pass it. And there's a number of bills that are like that to codify these things that the president is talking about. So think about permitting also for energy products or energy projects. We cannot get inflation down unless we bring down the cost of energy also. Those are two of the examples.
I love that. Congressman, I want to bounce back to something that we mentioned a moment ago, because I'm pretty sure I remember you're a girl dad with 3 daughters. And to see President Trump yesterday surrounded by all of those women and the young girls who were supporting him in signing that executive order, I have to think that even President Trump's naysayers, with a visual like that, and then today, a little over 24 hours, the NCAA coming out with this statement, I have to think that even his critics are thinking, oh, wow, okay.
Wasn't that incredible? When I watched that last night, I watched a rerun of it. I mean, to a certain extent, it was touching to see these young girls that they are going to have equal opportunity here in America. And it's Donald Trump that signed that executive action into law. And it's the age of insanity, hopefully, is behind us. All the way from the summer of love back in 2020 with riots across America to this stuff like men being able to go into girls' bathrooms. Hopefully that age of insanity is behind us, and a great America is back before us under President Trump.
Yeah, it is. So earlier today on Just the News, we had a story documenting, these are Justice Department documents, so it's the government's own records, showing that $9 million of USAID funds went to a terrorist group. Yep, they didn't vet the guy. The guy moved it right to Al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria and Iraq. It doesn't surprise you, I know, because you've been worried about USAID for a long time. But there's some ideas about what to do now that we're shuttering that department. Some people, like Congressman Andy Ogles, one of your colleagues, suggesting maybe we reroute some of these USAID funds to help speed up the deportation of illegal aliens. Your thoughts on the USAID mess and how it can be turned into a success for the American people?
As always, a great idea by my colleague, Representative Ogles. But I would just, when you talk about cuts that you talked about earlier, $1 trillion worth of cuts, that's not enough. We need more. And this is one place where we could just reduce that spending. The American people have no reason to spend money on these USAID projects. But it is important that we continue to expose who was getting this money, because it was the ultimate grift on the back of the American taxpayer.
Yeah, great point. It was.
Congressman, I want to ask a technical question, because I know a lot of people are so supportive of stripping away some of these agencies and organizations, USAID chief among them. If the aid has not yet been allocated, if the transfer has not taken place and the resources have not been, transferred to that agency, can that just be a refund for the American people, or does it have to be reallocated?
I think this is going to be one of the things that gets challenged in the courts, because do you think the Trump administration is going to be aggressive on this front? The past 17 days, as you guys have just highlighted, they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to be aggressive on this front, and they're going to try to bring this back. I think you're going to see court challenges in regards to that, and I hope the Trump administration wins, because they should pull back every single dollar that they can, including the green energy money that is out there that has been funding the green fantasy, which hopefully that's over with also in America.
Yeah. You touched on something that I think is so important, because it will have a direct impact on inflation, and that's permitting reform, which speeds up energy and other projects. And then, of course, that means we spend less and things become less expensive. There's an idea out there that's floating around in Congress. I want to see if you've got any intel on it, that changing some of the permitting rules so that when you meet the requirements of a project, that's it. The bureaucrats can't come in and add 500 new requirements just to keep you tied up in bureaucratic limbo. Can you give us some sense of what some of these permitting reforms are going to look like and how they could really make a huge difference in America?
Yeah, to set hard deadlines. So you give 30 days, 90 days, whatever, to review a particular project or a portion of a project, and then you got to get an answer. But I think this is where the agency heads are going to be really important that President Trump has named, because they need to hold the people in their department who are in charge of these things. They got to hold them accountable, because oftentimes you just see this, it'll be 90 days and then they're like, we can't get you an answer yet. And it morphs into 4 months, 6 months, whatever. They got to hold their people accountable in the agencies. You're going to get the American people an answer in the statutory deadline that is in the law.
Wow.
Sir, I think one of the best ways that we can shift sentiment is by using truthful language. And another thing that President Trump has done with his Department of Homeland Security is to start calling illegal aliens instead of undocumented non-immigrants, or whatever jargon they put together for it. How important is that, so that the American people get the message that these people already broke the law?
Yeah, so we've talked about the age of insanity, right? And what breeds the age of insanity? It's Orwellian language. So it is really important, Amanda, as you said, you have to use accurate language to describe this. These are illegal aliens that came into our country. They broke the law, and there must be consequences for that. And we've seen Tom Homan just do a great job. And I can't wait when he gets word about my home state of Madison, Wisconsin, where they are saying we're going to defy the law, including the governor. I can't wait to see them stand up to Tom Homan, because I can tell you who's going to win.
Yeah, there's a few thousand serious bad illegal alien criminals that already have found that out the hard way with Tom Homan the first couple of weeks. So I want to talk about that issue, because you brought up Madison. Today, Van Bondy's Justice Department's done two big things. One, freezing sanctuary cities funding. That's a big kick in the wallet. But then directly going to court against Illinois and the city of Chicago for harboring illegal aliens and not cooperating with ICE. That sets the stage for, I guess, something similar in Madison, Wisconsin. How important is it that the Justice Department is creating consequences for those who harbor illegal criminals?
Yeah, they have to do that. So think about the mayor of Chicago's got a 14% approval rating. Who do you think is going to win that battle? Those people are sick of what has happened to their city. Well, now you have Madison, Wisconsin, which you have a leadership that lives in La La Land. You have a governor that said, we're going to defy the state legislature who want to pass a bill that would say, you have to comply, law enforcement, throughout the state of Wisconsin. I'm telling you, the federal DOJ under Pam Bondi is going to win this battle. Since when did the leadership in Madison and the state of Wisconsin and Governor Evers, since when did they become Jefferson Davis of the Confederate States?
Wow, powerful statement. Sarah, as always, it's such a great honor. You're doing such important work on the front lines of all of these major changes in America. What a great honor to have you on the show, and what a great update. Thanks for joining us.
Always good to see you guys.
Yeah, as well, sir. Thank you so much. All right, folks, coming up after the commercial break, President Biden may have thought he got Dr. Fauci off the hooks when he gave him a pardon, but you know what? Some state attorney generals are diving in at the state level, looking at possible criminal charges to the COVID response. One of those AGs, Alan Wilson from the great state of South Carolina, is going to join us right after these messages. Hey, America, are you looking for a voice that really represents your values? AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, was created to champion the needs of Americans who believe in faith, family, and freedom, like you and I do. With over 2 million members, their mission is simple but powerful: to protect the interests of all freedom-loving Americans, safeguarding Social Security and Medicare, and advocating for common-sense policies. Members gain access to incredible member benefits, including the award-winning AMAC magazine, from exclusive discounts on travel insurance and everyday services to a strong voice in Washington. AMAC is here to make a difference in your life and our nation. Joining AMAC isn't just about benefits, regardless of your age. It's about belonging to a community that stands for timeless American values. In honor of President Trump's first 100 days in office, AMAC is offering an incredible deal. Enroll in a 5-year AMAC membership like I do for 47% off. Normally $60. Join today for only $32. Visit amac.us/justnews today to take advantage of this special offer. That's amac.us/justnews. Join AMAC and become part of a movement that stands for your family and your future.
So at the age of 5, I was sexually molested. I had my first child at the age of 15 and became homeless at the age of 16. The scariest part about not having a place to live was having a child and not having a place to live, and not knowing where our meal was going to come from and where we're going to sleep. To be homeless as a teen, I didn't ask for that.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or a warm meal to eat, or whether anyone cares about them. 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year, and that's unacceptable. But the good news is there is an organization making a big difference: Covenant House.
Call or go online now. For a gift of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis.
It was pretty tough, but Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
Call or go online right now to safeplacetosleep.org with your gift of just $19 a month. With your monthly donation, you'll receive this soft, comforting blanket as a reminder of the warmth and safety your gift will provide a young person tonight.
I have no words to express how Covenant House changed my life. They gave me the love that I needed. They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
Your $19 monthly gift is urgently needed to reach other young people who are facing unimaginable situations. Call or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
Your support makes the work of Covenant House possible. Thank you for caring.
Welcome back, everybody, to Just the News, No Noise. Former President Biden issued a flurry of pardons on his way out of the White House, including one for Mr. Science himself, Dr. Anthony Fauci. However, there are still a lot of questions swirling about how he handled the COVID pandemic and if U.S. government funding helped develop the COVID virus in the first place. But with his pardon, the feds can't do anything about it. But there may be something the states can do about it with congressional help. In fact, 17 states' AGs are urging Congress to continue the COVID-19 probe, including one AG we are about to bring onto the show right now, the Attorney General of the state of South Carolina, Alan Wilson. Attorney General, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me back.
Great to have you.
We are delighted to have you, and you and a number of states' AGs have seemed like dogs with bones, not letting this go, thankfully, for the American people, because they are looking for accountability. Federal charges out the window, but there could be state charges if he did something illegal to the state. What do some of those charges on the table look like?
Well, first off, we were all disgusted when we saw those midnight pardons issued by Joe Biden that absolved Anthony Fauci and other potential maligned actors in what their role was in the COVID-19 pandemic response. Obviously, the select report that was released back 2 months ago showed that there was a lot of dishonesty, a lot of manipulation. We don't know if it reached to the criminal levels, at least at the state court. But we want Congress and the Trump administration to know that while Biden's pardons may have prohibited the federal government and the Justice Department from going after criminal charges at the federal level, the states can be great vehicles for bringing accountability to people who are trying to evade the law. I'm not saying that laws were broken, but we want people to know that when a president preemptively pardons someone, not just preemptively pardons them, but preemptively pardons them going back over a decade, that really sends shivers down our spine. And we want answers. We want transparency. That's what the people in my state have told me. And that is why we're leading this coalition of AGs to say, hey, Trump administration, Congress, you give us the information. We will evaluate it for potential legal recourses at the state level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such an important thing, and something you've done time and again, using your own state's rights to get some justice and accountability for the American people. So I want to talk a little bit about vaccine safety, because we now have some body of evidence that the things we were being told when we took the COVID-19 vaccine turned out not to be true, that it maybe wasn't as efficacious as we thought or as safe as we thought. Under the state's consumer laws, is there anything that you could do to address that from the FDA or CDC or Dr. Fauci or others who might have gave us an unfairly rosy assessment of what that vaccine might do for us?
Well, possibly. I mean, obviously, it's all fact dependent. And again, I don't want to get out over my skis and say, hey, these are the laws that we think that were violated. We'd like to see not just the reports that Congress has already done, but any future reports. I want to incentivize Congress to keep going forward to find the truth. Even if there's nothing criminal or civil there that we can pursue, I want the American people to see what it was these patents were issued for. I also want to disincentivize future presidents from trying to preemptively pardon people from bad conduct or criminal conduct. And if we can use the states as a vehicle for accountability, and that helps disincentivize future conduct like this, then we need to go forward and do it. But at the end of the day, the American people and the people in South Carolina, they need answers and they need accountability, and I'm going to do everything I can to deliver it for them.
Yeah.
Sir, speaking of delivering, I know you sent a letter to D.C. Democrat Socialists, which might be a little bit redundant, regarding immigration laws and their obstruction, basically warning them, don't get in the way. Tell us about it.
The first thing I want to say is everyone has a constitutional right to peacefully assemble, to petition their government, to even basically advocate for policies that they want or even oppose policies that the government is implementing. I don't have a problem with that. They can go out there, they can criticize President Trump, they can criticize me, they can do everything they want. But when that criticism crosses into potentially causing dangerous harm to bystanders or law enforcement who are simply trying to aid in the execution of federal or state law, then they're crossing a line and they will be prosecuted. I encourage people to exercise their First Amendment rights to protest the policies they don't agree with. But if you're harboring illegal aliens, as Borders Czar Tom Homan has said, if you're harboring illegal aliens, then you will be prosecuted. If you're committing other crimes to try to impede law enforcement or obstruct justice, you could potentially be committing state crimes as well. We want to get most of our law enforcement basically in the 287G program so they can support the efforts of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. And once they're doing that, once we've deputized our local law enforcement, if other groups like this are trying to impede law enforcement, we will stand side by side with ICE and try to prosecute these people for obstructing justice.
Yeah, and some of that could come under state laws, which is, I think, really an interesting concept. Today, there was a big announcement by President Trump that Pam Bondi, the new Attorney General, will lead a task force trying to eradicate anti-Christian bias across the federal government, and by the way, in federal policies that have spread across the world. How important is that after an era in which we saw a lot of censorship and Christian cancellation by the last administration?
What a breath of fresh air. What a ray of sunshine. Pam Bondi, I love her. She is one of my dearest friends. I love her. She is going to do an excellent job. I was so grateful when President Trump nominated her to be the United States Attorney General. I served with Pam for 8 years. We worked very closely together, combating human trafficking, combating pill mills, protecting the rule of law and government overreach. Even people who don't agree with her, Democrats, former Democratic AGs, and even current Democratic AGs that I've privately spoken to, respect her, and they understand that she is a tenacious fighter for what she believes, and she is an honest broker. And I love what I've seen out of her the last 24, 36 hours. Just wait. The rest of America is going to get to see from Pam Bondi what I've seen for the last 15 years, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Sir, the Department of Justice is not unlike any other organization where you have a culture that is set at the top, and it obviously has been very much recalibrated with Pam Bondi at the top of it. How much of an influence do you think that's going to have on company culture within the DOJ?
Listen, it can only have a positive, like you said it right. Culture starts at the top, and everything that Pam touches has a good culture built around it. And Pam was like this as the Attorney General, the two-term Attorney General of Florida, when she was chairman of the Republican Attorney Generals Association, when I was serving with her. I mean, like I said, she was a breath of fresh air. She was a ray of sunshine. She was gregarious. She was exciting. She was fun. And like I said, everyone liked her. Even the people who don't agree with her liked Pam Bondi. So I think she's going to really change the culture of the Justice Department. I think she's going to reinstill faith so many Americans lost. They saw the Biden administration weaponizing the bureaucracies of the FBI and the Department of Justice, among others. Pam is going to turn that around and flip it on its head, and she's going to weaponize that bureaucracy against the deep state, and she's going to weaponize it against violent illegal criminals. She's going to weaponize it to support the efforts to combat human trafficking and protect our children, protect women. I mean, she's going to defend the rule of law. And again, I'm so excited for what is coming from the Justice Department under Pam Bondi's leadership.
Yeah, important stuff. Sir, while we're leaning into the new agenda, you're still cleaning up some very important business of objecting to and blocking the Biden administration from taking illegal actions like they did so often during their tenure. You won a big court ruling this week on an environmental rule. The court stating clearly that the regulators made up laws that they had no right to do. They made up regulations with no authority to do that. It's a big win, and it has a long-term effect. Just tell us a little bit about it and why continuing to win those cases also are going to be important.
Well, I mean, first off, what we've seen is we've seen federal agencies like the EPA. We've seen other federal agencies like the CFPB, all these alphabet soup agencies out there that are basically getting way over their skis. They're growing the administrative state. They're ruling through administrative fiat by regulations and policies written by unelected bureaucrats. They're exceeding the scope of laws that Congress passed. They're going out there and they're doing things that are radical and leftist, are being pushed by radical and leftist people with an agenda. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get these cases before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is starting to roll those back. They shot down Chevron deference this past year. You've seen them do it in other cases where they're basically rolling back the scope of the federal administrative state. And again, this is just one more tiny win that's going to help us put the scope of the federal government back in its rightful place, and it's going to help constrain the power of unelected bureaucrats who have been running roughshod over the American people for far too long. I couldn't be happier with this ruling, and I'm looking forward to the wins we're going to get in the next couple of months and as well as the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of folks, you included, who were very excited after Loper Bright and saw the regulatory industry, because it is an industry, take a substantial hit. Thank you for being here, sir. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, always great to have you here. All right, everybody, coming up after the break, remember those Hunter Biden IRS whistleblowers? Well, it's been found that they were illegally retaliated against. I know you're so shocked. And we're going to have the whistleblower on with his attorney next.
Hey folks, yesterday we had a live interview with Dr. Holly Lucille about a great supplement store Pure Health Research, one of our great partners here at Just the News and Real America's Voice. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, our discount code was not working. However, it's fully active now. We fixed it so you can take advantage of this great offer and try out any of their 45 products with a 50% discount. You heard me right, half off. Now, whether it's boosting your energy, trimming belly fat, supporting healthy blood sugar, pumping your testosterone up, or even reducing swelling in your legs, Pure Health Research Supplement Store has you covered. Each formula is crafted with natural, non-GMO ingredients backed by clinical research and manufactured right here in the good old USA. So if you couldn't check it out yesterday, go use their deal today. Head over to purehealthresearch.com right now and explore their 45 amazing supplements and save 50% before this deal ends with the coupon code JUSTNEWS, or aim your phone at that QR code. You'll be in business in just a few seconds.
Why is Navage trusted by millions?
Before Navage, I was not living my best life because I could not breathe. Constant nasal congestion, constant blowing of the nose. The huge difference is the fact that Navage pulls it out. It's very gentle in the sense of when that suction happens, it's literally grabbing that water and that mucus and it's bringing it out into this tank. It's worth every penny that you pay for it. This product changed my life.
Available at major retailers or online at Navage.com.
Hello, my friend. Pat Boone here. You know our country's under financial assault like never before. Our government has put us $34 trillion in debt. The interest alone's more than we spend on military defense. And what's worse, other countries no longer believe the U.S. is a safe place to invest. There's a growing international movement to dump U.S. dollars at a record pace. Some economists say this may signal the end of the dollar. Now, these countries are instead buying gold, and I'm suggesting you do the same. My friends at Swiss America have been helping Americans like you and me for over 40 years to buy physical gold and silver for delivery to our homes or held in our IRAs. I've trusted Swiss America for nearly 25 years now, and you can trust them too. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these troubling times.
Here at Allegiance, we feel like American flags should be made in America.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags were actually being made overseas.
Every flag we make is proudly crafted in the USA with superior materials.
Join us in our mission to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to order your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Welcome back, folks. Yesterday at the top of the show, we broke this story. The Office of Special Counsel, the Whistleblower Protection Agency, ruling that the IRS whistleblowers who blew the whistle on the Hunter Biden political favoritism that kept him from getting the sort of criminal justice he should have for quite some time, well, that they were retaliated against. They were wrongly removed from the case. They were also gagged so that they couldn't talk to Congress and others about the improper conduct that they saw. By the way, conclusion that retaliation was illegal. That's a very important thing. We're very lucky to be joined today by both of those brave men, Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler, two great IRS agents who blew that whistle, and their lawyer, a familiar face on this show, Empire Oversight President Tristan Levitt. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a great honor. Congratulations. It was a big win. I know it's not a complete win. None of these things are ever complete. Tristan, start us off just explaining where the OSC came down on the important question of were these two great men retaliated against.
We filed with OSC way back in May of 2023, and it was just 2 days after both Gary and Joe were removed from the Hunter Biden case. Of course, we had already come forward. The testimony wasn't public yet, but the IRS definitely knew, and DOJ knew that these guys were coming forward. So after 20 months, we've been able to get this finding from the Office of Special Counsel, which I formerly led for a period of time as the acting. And this is a big deal for them to find that it was retaliatory. You know, the IRS can't, there's no reason they can point to for removing these guys that stands up under scrutiny. And so along with the gag orders, this is a significant procedural step and highlights to the world that what the IRS did to these folks is wrong. Even though the IRS is the only part of this, the OSC has not been able to find out DOJ's portion yet because they are stiff-arming OSC. But this is a victory for today with the IRS finding.
Wow. Absolutely. Gary and Joseph, you both have been through so much. Gary, I want to start with you because any of this retaliation should be illegal. That's why whistleblowers are to be protected, especially when you're speaking out about something as dire as this situation. But you were retaliated against in the form of being removed from that project. You were retaliated against with the gag order. And as I understand it, the retaliation is still ongoing?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, every day it's a challenge to do our job here in the International Tax and Financial Crimes Group. I have some of the best agents, in the whole country, and we're working some of the most complex international cases. And the senior leadership, is doing everything they can to put up roadblocks in front of us, because every time they can delay us a day or 2 or 3 days, it negatively impacts what we're able to achieve. And ultimately, that's one of the things that I think needs to happen is that, IRS criminal investigation senior leadership is not there based on merit and performance. They're there based on this bureaucratic process that promotes people based on, these fabricated titles. And, they just simply, they're there and they're protecting the bureaucracy. And we need to change that.
Yeah, that's right. Joe, you did your work with such stellar performance. I mean, you guys were top rated. You were the best of the IRS. I know this last couple of years have been difficult for you. Just talk a little bit about the personal toll, blowing the whistle, doing the right thing, and then having retaliation occur to you. What it does to you personally.
Yeah, so it has significantly affected my life, affected relationships I've had, lost a lot of people in my life because they did not agree with what I was doing. And as far as it's crazy how you keep finding out more and more information as we go further and further down this road. We recently found out last month, or very, very recently, that the email that I sent up to the commissioner of the IRS at the time, Danny Werfel, that was actually deleted by the current acting commissioner, Doug O'Donnell. So he actually deleted my email prior to it going up to them, and then turned that over to Department of Justice, asking them if I did something wrong. And then my senior leadership came back to me and said that I may have broken the law and that I should cease and desist from sending anything outside of my chain of command, an illegal gag order. They still haven't corrected a lot of those things that they have said to me. And what it's done is it's instilled this fear in whistleblowers coming forward, and it's intentional. And I just hope that we can come to a point to where we don't do this anymore to people who are trying to speak the truth. What we should have done in that situation is hey, I am hearing what you are saying. I completely agree with you, and here's how we are going to move forward. The lack of transparency in the IRS, it's still occurring to this day, and that's what we need to move forward to. That we communicate better with each other, that we're more transparent.
Yeah, it's ludicrous what you've been through. It really has, gentlemen.
Well, and to that end, Joe, I'll just follow up with you because you have been retaliated against not only in your professional life, but also, as you talked about, with relationships. How can the IRS not only correct what it has done, but go above and beyond that and make you whole again?
So there's multiple ways. My reputation's been ruined. So I'm in therapy right now, so there's a significant cost to that. I lost my marriage, so there's the cost that relates to that. There is just the best way is, hey, these guys were right. They are exactly what employees of the federal government should be, and let's do something to show that, hey, let's, at the end of the day, Gary and I, we want to promote change within the federal government and within the IRS. And the only way that you do that is by creating policy, creating procedures that don't allow this to happen again. And if you put Gary and I in charge of that, we will make that happen.
I think there'd be a lot of people in the IRS that would be frightened that the right thing would happen again twice in a row because you two guys were involved in it. I want to, because we haven't had the chance to talk to you since it happened. You were vindicated when the convictions occurred. You were vindicated when the indictments occurred because the case that you wanted to bring was finally brought. You were vindicated with the Office of Special Counsel. I'd like to get both of your reactions to the idea that President Joe Biden, on his way out the door, took away the penalty for his son for crimes that you guys ultimately proved.
Yeah, well, that just shows the true colors of Joe Biden, and really underscores the just hypocrisy that the Democratic Party has been purveying to the American people for years and years. Right? It was clear that he was going to pardon his son. He just lied straight to everybody's face, and really what hurt the Democratic Party and helped the Republican Party more than anything was everyone seeing that Joe Biden was going to pardon his son, pardon his family members for what, for the crimes that they committed that just we weren't allowed to investigate. So look, it's going to be years and years to come that the party is going to take the Democratic Party to overcome what Joe Biden did to it by pardoning his son and his family members.
That's a good point.
Tristan, I wanted to go to you, but now I feel like there is an obvious opportunity for both Gary and Joe. I know you guys love what you do. I know that you are passionate about the work that you have done. But if there was an opportunity for some type of advisory position to help this administration do an overhaul at the IRS, would you guys be willing to move into that type of role?
Yeah,
absolutely. Hands down. Yep.
We're ready to serve. I was pushing the Doge before the Doge was a.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah, you were pre-Doge. Yeah, you were popular before then. Gentlemen, I want to say this public. I've covered lots of whistleblowers over my 30-year career as a journalist. You two did everything by the letter of the law. You did it patriotically. You did it not because of politics, because it was the right thing to do. We need to make sure your reputations, your careers, and your lives are restored for the sacrifices you made. And I just want to personally thank you. As a journalist, as an American, you did something great for this country, and we're grateful for it. We really are.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And Tristan, thanks for bringing such great legal advice to these two gentlemen. You guys are winning piece by piece. It's a great thing. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, folks. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot more about government waste. It's been exposed this past week. So much of it. It just keeps going on. We got a lot more of that with Tyler and Neil right after these messages.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you.
On streets across America, young people are homeless, abused, in danger. Covenant House is helping young people with nowhere else to turn. But the need is overwhelming. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month. You'll help provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night. Homeless young people are afraid and alone. Your monthly donation right now will show them they are loved and safe.
I have no words to express how Covenant House changed my life.
Call or go online now and give just $19 a month. We'll send you this comforting blanket as a reminder of the difference you're making in a young person's life.
I will rescue you.
Call or go online now to safeplacetosleep.org.
Welcome back, everybody. So much necessary talk about all of the government waste that has been exposed over the last few weeks. And I think we all know that there is a lot more that is yet to see the light of day. But what can we expect to be uncovered? Joining us now to talk about that, Daily Signal senior editor and the author of the new book, The Woketopus, The Dark Money Cabal Manipulating the Federal Government, Tyler O'Neill. Tyler, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
I think that the American people are jaded. I think that we all expect that the government wastes money on things, but it seems like with what we have learned the last few weeks that people are at their limit. I think that maybe they didn't realize just how bad it was. Are you picking up on that vibe?
Oh, yes. I'm picking up on that vibe in spades. And I think the American people are flabbergasted to see just the sorts of things that USAID was funding, from, transgender operas to DEI in workplaces in foreign countries to apparently Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It's one thing after another, and it's all just so much of it dovetails directly with George Soros, the Open Society Foundations, the sort of funding he's been doing across the world and here at home. And he's been funding the Woktopus. He's one of the main forces. Open Society is one of the big parts of the left's dark money network that I expose in the book, funding these woke NGOs that staff and brainwash the federal government.
Yeah, you've done such a good job. And by the way, your story yesterday was spectacular. It really brought people up to speed on just how close the alliance is with these far left groups funded by Soros and USAID. They weren't doing the people's business, they were doing the liberal people's business. And you did a great job on that story. I want to talk a little bit about the narrative, because in Washington, policy battles are won by who controls the narrative. And the Democrats ordinarily would have made all of these USAID employees to be victims. That's their narrative. But the fact of the matter is, conservatives and news media got the story out first that these aren't victims. These are villains who misspent your money, didn't guard your money, didn't protect the interests of the United States. How important, as DOGE rolls on, for the narrative to continue to show that it isn't victims of poor federal workers losing their jobs, it's federal workers who did their jobs poorly and let down the American people?
Yeah, and abused the power that has been entrusted to them by the people. I think what we're seeing and what my book really exposes, the mentality of the deep state, which is that the bureaucrats know better than the American people and the American people's elected representatives. That's the thing driving all of this. And I think that is the message we have to continue to hammer home. And one of the great places that's doing that right now is the Napolitan Institute, with their polls talking about these federal government managers, these bureaucrats. 64% of them say, when the DC bureaucrats who voted for Kamala Harris were asked in a poll if they would follow a lawful Trump order, even if they thought it was bad policy, 64% of them said they would not follow that lawful order. And that's the mentality. And I think that's why the legacy media is going to have a seriously hard time presenting these people as victims, because the American people know that the system has been abused. I think we all remember, we don't want to remember sometimes, but we all remember what happened during COVID, when the medical elites and the bureaucrats said, this is the truth, this is the science, you will never question it. And by the way, we lied to you, but it's all okay, because we were doing so in your interests. I think all of that revealed for the American people why we can't have faith in these bureaucrats and why what Trump is doing is so necessary.
Yeah. Tyler, it is just such a deep, deep problem. There are literally tens of thousands of career bureaucrats in this city. They don't go away with the administration. They just hang around like a bad mole or something. Are there self-sifting ways to weed them out of the government? I know obviously showing up to work is probably going to be something that's quite effective. President Trump offering exit packages to people who are willing to resign. Any other of those type measures that can be imposed that might kind of purify Washington?
Yes, I think Trump is angling for those. I think what we saw with this buyout, and the buyout is pretty popular with the American people, except a lot of them think that it was too generous to these bureaucrats. So again, the legacy media's narrative is not going to fly here. But the buyout represents the carrot. It represents the positive offer at the beginning of the process. It is Trump's opening bid, his opening gambit. And once that goes through, the deadline is today. I know there was a judge who extended the deadline, so we'll see if that gets extended and when it plays out. But this is the best offer they're going to get. It's only going to get worse from here on out. And I think the Trump administration is going to start weeding people. I heard one of my favorite things that Doge is doing is they're having little mini Doges. I call them Dogelets, where they're sending just a couple of DOJ staff into bureaucratic administrative agencies to monitor things from the inside. So they're going to be located in the U.S. Digital Service offices, but they're also going to be sending the DOJLets out. And those DOJLets are a very important step in combating this.
Yeah.
I love that term, DOJLets. Although it also sounds like one of my other favorite things, donuts. So, I'm going to get excited over either one of them. Tyler O'Neill, senior editor at the Daily Signal. Tell everybody where they can find your book.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon and all other places that sell good books. Amazon is just a useful place. It's called, just search Woktopus. You can find me on X, Tyler 2 O'Neill, and you can find the Daily Signal on all platforms.
Yeah, I highly encourage people to read the Daily Signal. It is a fantastic publication.
It's really great.
Tyler, you and Rob are doing just great work there. Congratulations for the great journalism you're committing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to have you.
All right, everybody, coming up, we've got some final thoughts to close out on this Thursday, so stick around.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus seat cushion.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to close with a story that is already up over on justthenews.com. It is a very important story, and the hits just keep coming. The more we learn about COVID, the more we learn about censorship. And I know Senator Ron Johnson has reached out to Mark Zuckerberg to try to get documents pertaining to, especially one of these cases, this woman who was a part of the AstraZeneca trial. Yeah. And she experienced adverse effects. She was a member of a large support group on Facebook, people who had also experienced adverse effects. And she said within 5 days of testimony, it was yanked off.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's one thing to infringe free speech, which is what we now know is done widespread, but also to disenfranchise somebody from a community who's going through a trauma. This community was created to help people work through the trauma, and Facebook, for some political consequence, maybe from some demand of the Biden administration, took it down. I think the key thing for Facebook to do is to tell us who in the United States government, what bureaucrat, what politically elected leader made every single request, and get those names out there, and then have President Trump summarily fire those who wanted to silence legitimate speech. It's not the business of the federal government to silence speech. That's why we had a revolution and why we created this incredible constitutional republic. But thus far, we've had plenty of outrage about censorship. I haven't seen many people get fired or pay a consequence for it. Anyone who is involved in censorship, President Trump, if you're watching tonight, go find out what they did. If they did something inappropriate, take their job away. By the way, it'll save you towards retaliation on Doge, but it'll send a message that it's not the job of bureaucrats to regulate speech in America. It's never been the job, but somehow in the Biden years, it became a job for a lot of people.
Sure did. Now, Zuckerberg claims that these censorship tactics were at the behest of the Biden administration, dating all the way back to Hunter Biden laptop and such.
Tell us who did it.
Yeah, if that's the case, because I have a feeling that Mark Zuckerberg wasn't that opposed to it.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, Mark Zuckerberg's a real. Well, listen, it's interesting. He's gone back and forth, and I think he had to play with the political winds that he was. But the Mark Zuckerberg I met a couple times, or in her talk, he actually felt very uncomfortable with the government censorship going back, and there's enough of a body around. I'm not defending the guy. The guy put $500 million into trying to hijack the election. So,
when he put that money in?
I think most of these platform operators did not feel comfortable with what the president did. Look at when you got the Twitter files. There were a lot of liberals inside of Twitter, but even they're like, whoa, what are they asking us to do? Are they nuts? And they tried to create as much of resistance they could without putting their business in jeopardy. But they should never have been put in that position. And the people who made that request knew that what they were doing was something that was anti-government, anti-American. It's important for President Trump to make an example of a small number of people that did it so that large numbers of people aren't tempted to do it again in the future. I really think it's incumbent upon the president to get that done.
Yeah. Well, I think enough Americans, Mark Zuckerberg included, have read books like Atlas Shrugged. Things like that, Animal Farm, 1984.
How about giving us that a Constitution? Just read the Constitution, the First Amendment. It was there for a reason.
All right, so I am loving the swift action by the NCAA.
Yeah, how about that?
This is a story that we have been following for a long time. This was that I component of the 3 I's, the insanity, and so many people. I am grateful that this is happening now. I think that this is what drove a lot of people to the polls. Maybe not the only issue, but for parents across America, even if they were not girl dads like Congressman Tom Tiffany, they just saw the insanity of boys or men being in girls' or women's locker rooms, and they just said, "This is nuts."
Yeah, it is nuts. It is, and the NCAA. I want to know the women athletes who had to give up their jobs on sports teams because they wouldn't play. Are they going to be made whole? What will the NCAA do to make right? Because it was the NCAA that allowed these men to come in, identify as women, and play in sports and compete unfairly. And so I think there's another chapter of this still to be done. Let's make sure the women who got disenfranchised from their sports get some form of reformation and recognition for what they did, because what they did was right. But it is a good day, and it happened quickly. And that photo of the president with all those young girls around him, you couldn't even imagine that 8 years ago happening with all the demonization that President Trump had. But it's a beautiful photo.
And you can't buy that kind of goodwill either until
and
you get that visual.
It wasn't staged. It was just... These girls are glad to have their sports back, and I think it's an amazing thing.
Hey, I'm going to plug my podcast because on Monday I had Coach Smoose on my podcast. She was the women's volleyball coach from San Jose State University, so go check that out because I would love to hear how she feels.
She's another Riley Gaines.
That's right.
Yeah, she stood up. There are people being made examples of already. Illinois and Chicago on the sanctuary lawsuit today. That's very, very important. All right, so money stopped flowing, but now there's a bigger, you're sued, and I think the next step is, will there be a prosecution of someone that blocks an ICE raid, or will there be a prosecution of the person who leaked the details on the Venezuelan gang raid in Colorado? That's the sort of accountability Americans have been craving. And by the way, it'll have a downstream effect, right? I can't wait to see if that's going to happen.
I feel bad for whoever it was that leaked that information, because Tom Homan is not the kind of person whose crosshairs I want to be in. But if that was someone at Homeland Security or Border Patrol, that person knowingly put his brothers and sisters in law enforcement in danger.
I bet it's downstream, probably in one of the cooperating departments downstream. Because, when you bring ICE in, you coordinate with local police, and that's probably the danger. But we'll find out, right? It's important to find out, not speculate. But you're right, they did. And he said that. By the way, you know what's good news? We're going to ask Tom Homan about this directly because he's coming on the show tomorrow night.
That's right.
Our super producer, Rob Sterling, got us Tom Homan for tomorrow night. We're super excited about that. Parting thoughts as we head into just the third week of the Trump presidency. It feels like the third year, so much has been done. But you had a great story this morning. Your closing thoughts.
I think it made the rounds because I heard some of this conversation, this chatter happening over on some of the mainstream channels. The fact that President Trump has taken those 20 items on his original campaign's priorities list and has moved on all of them. There were 18 of them that he has definitively moved on, one of them that he's in the process of, and one of them we won't be able to check off until the end of his term because it is pending his completion in office. But,
one of the best changes that's occurred since Donald Trump became president? You're sitting beside me, you're writing in Just the News. I wake up and see your great stories every morning. It's just so good to have you.
It's good to be here. It is good to be here. Hey, we were supposed to have some pretty cruddy weather, but it looks like it's going to clear up through the weekend, so maybe we can actually get to work tomorrow. All right, everybody, thanks so much for being here tonight. We're going to be back here tomorrow night for a fabulous Friday edition of Just the News, No Noise. See you then.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Weber, CEO of AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is at a crossroads, and the first 100 days of President Trump's administration will be critical in shaping our nation's future. That's why AMAC is proud to introduce the first 100 Days Tracker. Our tracker will monitor the administration and Congress as they work to deliver on the Make America Great Again agenda, ensuring progress on critical issues like sealing our borders, protecting your freedoms, and strengthening our economy. As an AMAC member, you'll receive daily updates and opportunities to take action. Together, we will hold our leaders accountable and celebrate the victories that make our nation stronger. Join the AMAC family today and be part of a movement driving real change. I look forward to welcoming you to AMAC.